From the Empire State to the Golden Gates, this is Quad Radio USA.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
Now, with all the dirt from the world of ATV motocross and GNCC racing, here's Mr. 10 Seconds, Rodney Tomlin.
You know, there's no way to do it other than right now, and she's not pregnant, so it's not a shotgun wedding because she's pregnant. Just we waited and put our time in. And
Get out of the way. Way to clarify.
Yeah, just got to get that clear, and that'll be happening next year. So, you know, a lot of big plans in the future for me.
Well, that's great, man. That sounds really good that you guys have planned that out. It sounds like very appropriately, honestly. So getting in the off season, and you're talking about being busy, and that's one of the things I think that we're going to be talking about is one of the things that you've been busy on is trying to prep for next year. And I know there's a lot of questions with the end of the GNCC season coming up and the obviously into the off season with the ATV motocross, man. I mean, you guys have got two really successful programs going on there with Chris Bithell on GNCC and John Natale and Joel Hetrick this past season in the ATV motocross, man.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of crazy things going on, and, you know, we're still full swing ahead in the GNCC program right now, and I've actually had to kind of step back from that. I spent a little over 6 months on the road, and I came back to California after Loretta's AMA race, the ATVA race, and when I kind of sat down with my boss and talked, and, you know, I said, I want to fly back and forth, you know, in between rounds of GNCC, and he said, I don't really want to pay for all that, and I said, well, what can we do? And he said, well, you know, do you think Darren can handle it? I said, well, you know, let's make a phone call and see, and I called Darren, and, you know, you guys all know Darren as our engine builder and Joel Hetrick's mechanic, and you know, he worked for Kyle Cheney on his side-by-side, and called Darren, and he said, you know, I can handle it. We got a couple weeks in between each event. You know, just make sure, you know, you take care of me and get all my parts here in time and make sure everything's going on and happening the right way. So we kind of struck up a deal that way, and I told him, you know, if you get into a bind, call before you're in a bind, let me know, and I'll be on a plane out there to get everything taken care of for you, so, or help him out. But, you know, he's doing a good job with all that, and they're moving forward, and, you know, Chris actually had a really good ride at the last race, and he got on the podium, so we're all proud of him for that, and, you know, just looking to hopefully go back out this weekend at Ironman and do the same thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Chris has had a pretty decent program as far as the 2012 season is concerned. I mean, all around, both programs, you guys didn't get the championship in either series, man. But, I mean, ATV motocross, man, you had a lot of wins. You had two good championship contenders there with John and Joel. And Chris, man, I think you said it best the other day. If Chris can finish a race, he's on the podium most of the time.
Yeah, definitely. He ran into two issues this year that kind of took him out of a race, but other than that, you know, he's been pretty much on the podium every weekend. He's always strong, and you can always count on him to be right there waiting, you know, or being within striking distance of the podium. You know, and then John and Joel, you know, those two guys, you can't say enough. They both rode their hearts out this year, and I know it was tough on John to, you know, end up losing by the points gap that we did, but it doesn't really, what the gap is doesn't really show how the season actually went. I feel we had a better year than we actually had in 2011 when we won the championship. You know, he had no DNFs. He didn't crash out any motos. He just had a couple crashes that cost him a couple fifth and sixth places, and that's where the points battle went away from us at. But other than that, you know, Chad was on the podium every single weekend, and John only finished off the podium once, and, you know, that's what the difference was. So, you know, and then Works, we ended up finishing second and fourth in the West Coast Off-Road Championship Series that's out here. So, you know, it's been a great year, and Dylan Zimmerman, he actually rides for us, and he's been doing Works, finished fourth overall in Works, and then went to Italy and did a full championship series over there in conjunction with why he was racing here doing Works, and ended up winning the championship over there by like 40 points. So, that was good for him. And then Jeremy Warnia has done the same thing. He went over there and won the French National Championship and the European Championship for us. So
no way.
It was a pretty successful year overall.
Yeah, man, it really sounds like it. And you say Dylan Zimmerman from the Works. Is that who you're talking about there?
Yeah, Dylan Zimmerman. He's a good up-and-coming kid. I mean, he's been on the team since '08 when we first started this team, and he's always been right there. He's won some Pro-Am championships in the Works Series, which is similar to a GNCC. It's just the motocross and then more desert-style off-road than what the GNCC Series is. GNCC is, more into the woods and stuff like that. So, he's had a strong year this year doing Works, and then to go over there and win that championship in Italy is big for him.
What was the racing like in Italy? Was it kind of similar to the Work Series?
No, it's actually just like our motocross series. They do 2 20-minute motos plus a lap instead of 2 laps. And then they have time qualifying, everything the same way that we do it here for the most part.
Interesting.
The tracks are a lot different. So he's kind of, he's a versatile kid. He can do motocross, he can do off-road, whatever he's got to do. We've actually used him in the past to go down and do like the Baja or San Felipe 250 and the Baja 500, and we have the Baja 1000 coming up in November. So we're never quite done racing.
It don't sound like it. Who's going to be on your Baja 1000 team this year?
Right now it looks like it's going to be Josh Frederick and then possibly Jeremy Warnia. And right now they're kind of going back and forth between Dylan Zimmerman or maybe John Natale. We might bring out the Iron Man and do something like that. I'm not 100% sure yet. So we're just kind of working all the deals on that, or, see what we can have happen for that race. Nice.
That sounds like a pretty good mix of riders that you're going to have on the team there. So that's all. What weekend in November is that coming up?
That race is actually November 17th. It starts on a Saturday, and I believe it'll end Sunday night.
And you're going to be out there mechanicking for that? Or are you going to be getting ready for the wedding?
Yeah, we'll be out there. No, I will. No. Hopefully the wedding will be already planned by then, even though it's only a short couple weeks away. But we'll be down there. We'll be down there the week before, pre-running for it, and basically spend a lot of time in Mexico that whole week before, and then the race weekend, and then get out of Dodge and get back home, and then get ready for the wedding.
Wow. Sounds like you got a, like you say, man, the racing never stops, and it's busy all year round. And like we alluded to there a little bit ago, let's talk a little bit about what's going on for the rest of 2012 and 2013. I know that MotoWorks, like we say, you guys had a successful team. You guys are kind of like the satellite team or the flagship carrier, if you will, for the Can-Am team, basically. And I know that Can-Am really stepped up this year. It looked like, whenever they took the Warner race semi out of the GNCC, it was looking like they were stepping back. But actually, they kind of stepped things up with the great contingency program that they had this year. I know some riders making in the neighborhood of $30,000 in contingencies this year, believe it or not. Just remarkable what the programs have been able to do this year. And I know that you probably got a little bit of intel on what's going on, at least from the MotoWorks Can-Am side of things.
Yeah, definitely. The contingency program that Can-Am offers is it's above anyone else's, and it's one of the wildest things I've ever seen. But it seems to be working. The numbers are picking up for the DS450, and then the numbers on the Commander are huge. Really, with the rest of this year, we just have Baja coming up, and then we're going to finish out GNCC, and then plans for next year. I kind of talked to my boss about it, and I can't say too much yet. Not everything's completely finalized, but I know Can-Am's going to make a big push with the new Commander Maverick 1000 that's coming out. Should be released in, I believe, November, December time. So I know that's, a lot of focus is going on to that. So you'll definitely see the Commander race in GNCC, and then you'll still see the DS450 race in GNCC. And, some big plans with all that stuff going on. So I can't say any kind of finalized ideas of who's driving and who's riding and all that stuff, but I definitely look forward to having us there and having a program for everybody that's involved with, the Can-Am in general, the contingency program and racing. And, that brings me to another point of, one of the big reasons I wanted to get on here tonight is, we've been developing this bike, the DS450, since 2008, and we really worked on a lot of parts that are inside the engine and chassis parts and other things that we've developed in-house at MotoWorks. I now have all that stuff available. If you go to the MotoWorks Racing, or it's MotoWorks.com website, and go on there and look under the Can-Am race parts, there's a lot of stuff on there. Or if you want to contact me personally, I can get you in touch and get you a list of everything that we have. I mean, we have everything from a full-blown race bike to just, an engine, a full race engine, to heads, the valves, to sprockets. I mean, every little nook and cranny you can imagine, we have it. And, I really want to get that picked up and try to, keep us racing and keep everyone going and let some people in on some of the factory knowledge that we've developed over the last 5 years.
Yeah, you guys have been very instrumental, I think, in that whole program. I mean, you guys kind of had the opportunity to work outside the box. I know that, when Can-Am was funding the factory semi and all that with Warner Racing, they had, a lot of their stuff going on with R&D on the inside. The cool thing about it is you guys are kind of satellite, so you do things of your own, and you guys think a little bit differently than maybe some of the engineers and stuff up there, and you actually have more opportunity to go out and test and tune. Being a big company like MotoWorks is, man, you guys have been able to really dial that thing in.
Yeah, definitely. The bike's great. I mean, just buying the regular bike is good, and when you put as much time and effort and dollar value into what we've done and to develop all these parts that have come around, and our results prove it, through and through again. With John winning a championship last year, Chad winning numerous races on the Can-Am DS450, and then this year with Joel and John winning, quite a few races and winning motos, pretty much, every other weekend one of those guys would win a moto or somewhere, right there. They're always on the podium. And, John had 0 mechanical DNFs this year, and I think that right there proves that the Can-Am DS450 is such a good bike, and, what we're doing to it is working on it. And John's not known for being easy on equipment. He's definitely one of the harder guys on equipment, and, I think what we're doing is really, really selling itself. So hopefully, all the people that are riding Can-Ams and know what we do, they can kind of come back and show us the love that we've kind of put out there, and, show Can-Am the love. They're the only ones technically supporting the sport, as much as they are. They still have the rig there and have, all of us there, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. And they're also, I mean, like you say, the Maverick. I seen that Can-Am's got an all-electric Commander coming out. They've got the new Outlanders coming out. It's some pretty monumental things. The Maverick thing, like you mentioned there, and that leads me to side-by-side stuff. You guys are pretty big in that. You got your driver, Kyle Cheney, and he's going to be participating this weekend. I guess this will be the final for the championship. I'm not sure how he's doing in the point standings, but he's had some pretty good shows this year, I guess, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Kyle, he's a great driver, and it's crazy to see and get closer with a guy. I mean, last year, before, after this time, probably December, we didn't even know, everything, and we didn't even know him, and we've kind of grown, together and hung out with him and went racing and stuff, and he's had some really good showings. He's been on the podium a few times, and, last weekend was kind of a home race for him, and he went out there and, pretty much drove the wheels off of it, and, from what his co-pilot told us, he was sliding and banging, and he ended up getting T-boned by somebody and flipping the car over and had a little bit of trouble, and he got it fixed and took off again, and, it ended up not turning out to be such a good result, which kind of took us out of the shot for a championship there, because I think at that point he was tied for second in points. So
wow.
This weekend it's kind of win or lose type of deal. There's nothing to lose, so just go out there and put it down and get that thing on the box for sure.
There you go, man. Sounds like a pretty good idea and a pretty good plan. And Johnny, I know you've been sitting back there kind of listening, and I know you from a rider's perspective have probably got a few questions and a few comments that you'd like to share there with Casey as well. Anything you could think of that you'd like to pipe in there with?
Oh no, I mean, he seems like he pretty well covered stuff from the perspective of what all they went through this year, and kudos to Can-Am. I mean, for all they're doing for the sport, and obviously I bleed blue, and I'm Yamaha through and through for life, but. Anybody involved in the sport certainly owes Can-Am a little bit of gratitude for all the money they've invested, to try and promote their own program, but at the same time promote the sport as a whole. And, the bottom line is we compete against each other on the track, but we all work together off the track to try and promote the sport. And, John Natale is one of the best at promoting himself, promoting his sponsors, and also the sport. And, certainly having Can-Am and MotoWorks behind him, Johnny Leach and the guys over there put a big effort in, and Casey and Darren got to know them a little bit this year, and good guys, and definitely all of us, like I said, we compete against each other, but at the same time, everybody's trying to work together to promote the sport, to make it better, not only for ourselves, but the next up-and-coming generation. I mean, you got a kid like Joel Hetrick that's, 18, 19 years old, and, got his whole future ahead of him, or, obviously my teammate Walker Fowler. I mean, we want to do a good job for these guys and, leave something behind for them so that they can set themselves up for the future as well.
For sure. And Casey, I know that we talk about a lot of stuff, man, and a lot of different things, but anything in particular that you might want to share with the Quad Radio listeners here this evening?
Oh, actually, I was going to see if Johnny wanted to mention the school that they're going to Friday morning. I don't know exactly where it's at or what the name is, but I kind of wanted to promote that. And there's a lot of guys that are going out and doing that. Mainly I just want to, say thanks to everybody for, all the support they have given us and everything that's going on. And we look forward to the future and, keeping things going and keeping things big. And, my hat's off to Yamaha too. As Johnny was saying, he rides Yamaha, and they're, they've kind of stepped into the sport bigger this last couple of years than they have in the past, and it doesn't seem like they're slowing down. So, that can entice all the manufacturers to come back and make a push. Obviously, there's a reason Can-Am and Yamaha have stayed in it and doing what they're doing, because they must be selling some kind of product, or they would pull out completely like the other manufacturers have. So hopefully that entices some of the people and calls them out and gets them out there to, really start pushing back and get a full, pit row full of semis and all that stuff, and get these guys, some money that they deserve. All the guys out there deserve some kind of money. They're out there risking their necks to do what they do, and Johnny can tell you from experience. I'm sure in the past he was in a position where he made some decent money and did okay, and then
Johnny still makes decent money
away and come back. So
Johnny, believe it or not, is probably the best paid ATV GNCCer on the line.
I don't want to compare checkbooks with anybody, but I'm happy for the support I have, and I like I said, I mean, to me, a guy like Aaron out there doing what he's doing, and Casey and those guys traveling the country in a truck, that's where this sport started from. Granted, they're Joel and John got to travel a little bit more lush motorhomes and all, but we certainly appreciate those guys out there grinding, and whether it be Can-Am, Yamaha, anybody that's supporting this sport, all the aftermarket, even the promoters, obviously Racer Productions and all the other promoters. I mean, we're all one big family when it comes right down to it, and everybody just wants to make the sport better. And there's so many people out there doing so many good things right now that it's positive, and it's certainly going in a good direction. I really do like where things are headed.
For sure. And you made mention of being out on the road, and I think you even mentioned it earlier, Casey. You'd said that you were out on the road, 6 months this year? I think you left California somewhere around, February or March, and basically didn't see a whole lot of home until, I guess, when you went home.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was pretty much 6 months to the date. We left mid-February and traveled all year. Me and Darren, we'd stay in hotel rooms every day and just doing that. And, it could have been worse. We could have been sleeping in the back of the dually. I think one race, we drove all night to get there, and we pretty much did sleep in the dually before the weekend started. But that Friday night after we got to the race, we got a hotel room. So things could have been worse. And, you can't complain. We both signed up for it. My hat's off to Darren. He's been gone. He's originally from Oklahoma, and he left Oklahoma and headed to California January 1st, and he hasn't technically been home since then. So
Wow.
he's really looking forward to Loretta being over, and then he's going to go from Loretta to head up back to his house and then Oklahoma and spend a day or two there, see his family and see everybody, and then head back out west to California. So, we're looking forward to getting him back out in California and getting all the stuff wrapped up and, all that kind of stuff. So, it could be a lot worse. I know guys that are, actually sleeping in the backs of their trucks and that kind of stuff. So there's definitely no complaints. It's tough on your family life, but that's what we all signed up for.
Yeah. So what's one of the most interesting things that you think happened out of that 6 months you spent on the road this summer?
Oh, man. I would probably say snowshoe GNCC.
I was just going to say, how about watching out the window of my hotel room at Snowshoe?
Yeah, I would say I definitely enjoyed snowshoe GNCC. The Balanced Night Race was a good time, a good experience, and something I look forward to hopefully happening more often. But that's not really so much an experience other than just a normal race. But snowshoe was definitely a good time. Hanging out in Johnny G's balcony, watching a bunch of people fight in the crowd right after the concert and stuff like that. So experience. The nightlife there is definitely top notch compared to, I've been around a long time in my day and seen a lot of good times. So it was definitely a good time there.
Yeah, that snowshoe GNCC is definitely one good one in particular for some reason. I don't know what it is about it, but it definitely holds a lot of cool things about it, even though it is probably one of the most difficult to watch from a spectator standpoint. But all in all, man, the atmosphere at that one is wild. Do you ever find?
Yeah, I think anytime you put that many people in that close proximity with 4 bars within walking distance, it usually makes for a pretty good time.
You want to hear something really neat and interesting about that event as well? You know how big that place is, how many condos and how many apartments and houses and everything that they've got going on there. And you know how wintertime, the snow, the skiing, and all that stuff is their big money maker, and that's what that's what they're there for and everything. But do you realize that at any given time during the 365 days of the year that Snowshoe is open, that GNCC brings more people at one given time than anything that goes on in that mountain, believe it or not?
Wow, that's just amazing. And that speaks loudly for all the fans out there. I mean, that's awesome to know. And you can only imagine what their numbers are during the winter, when it's their season, when everyone's there skiing and snowboarding and vacationing with their family at the winter hobby, and to be able to outdo that in one event, one day of the year, it's a couple days of the year, but to do that and then be in a ATV and motorcycle event going on, that's just amazing to have something like that. And all of us and all the sponsors and everyone should be proud of that, because that's a big deal, and that's what all these people pay all the money that they do for, is to be able to have a fan turnout like that.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome, and it amazes me that a lot of the Grand National Cross Country Championship races have bigger spectator turnouts than even some of the outdoor motocross nationals. I mean, it's definitely got a following. There is no doubt about it. So it's huge. And John, and I don't know how much experience you've got in it, but Johnny, you've seen this thing grow hugely. And I always make mention, a rider spanning 3 decades, on the pro road. That's again not making fun of you in any way, shape, or form. That is my hats off to you, because you've been here through it all, man, through thick and thin, and you basically helped build it and bring it to what it is today.
I surely won't take any credit for helping build it. That's that started with Dave Coombs' dream and his family and the entire team, including yourself from Racer Productions. You guys have built it. I've just been along for a great ride. I mean, the sport's been great to me, and I definitely can't say enough about the fans, the participants, and obviously the promoters. Like I said, I mean, it's pretty amazing to see where it's come from. I think that, Barry and I talked about this on Quad Radio a month or two ago when we were on. It's pretty crazy to see some of the venues that we used to go to. We'll go back to for smaller series, or just drive by them on the way to other races, and you look and you think, man, you couldn't even fit the pro pits in there now. And at one point, we held a GNCC there.
Yep. That's pretty huge. And Casey, you basically came on, how many years have you been involved with GNCC?
Actually, at GNCC, this is my first year involved in GNCC, so it's it was awesome to see, and as an eye-opener, unfortunately, I never get to really go hang out in the woods and go see the track. I've never seen a full GNCC course all year, so I don't really get to appreciate all that. I know what it is, and I've watched a lot of the TV shows on TV and seen what's involved with it. So, I have a great appreciation for everything that's going on there, and seeing, all the fans that actually stand out there, the guys that'll just jump in a mud hole for any person going by, even if it's not their fan or anything. They just jump in the mud hole and help them push it out. So I would love to go out and spend some time out in the woods during one of the GNCCs. But, most of the time for me, I'm usually standing under an awning waiting for, Chris to come by and make sure everything's okay with him, and, radioing the guys that we have out in the woods, keeping track of him and what's going on with Chris at that time.
Well, I know it's certainly a little bit late in the game, Casey, but I'd suggest you hop a plane, because if you want to see GNCC racing at its finest, you need to get to Crawfordville, Indiana by Saturday morning at 10 a.m., because there is nothing more GNCC racing and not a better picture of it than standing out at the Ironman Hills and watching nearly 10,000 spectators cheer riders on as they come by and help them up hills. So it's quite
yeah. I've heard great things, and, it's unfortunate. I was actually looking forward to this race all year. Biffle's been telling me about it. He's like, Ironman's crazy, the amount of people and everything going on. He's like, that and snowshoe and, with the pink and all that stuff. So he can definitely look forward. I wish I could be there, but unfortunately I can't. And, I know Darren's got some things up his sleeve for Biffle's bike this weekend. So it'd definitely be cool to see the support of the pink out there for everybody.
Did you guys get that turbocharged figured out?
No turbocharge. we don't need it. Darren built one heck of a good motor, so we're good there.
All righty. Sounds good. I think that Jen Kenyon, did you just join in with us there a moment ago?
I did. I'm here.
Well, that's great. It transitions just perfect. We were talking about the Ironman. We're talking about big crowds and everything. We got that coming up this weekend. Casey, again, I want to say thanks to you. You're welcome to hang out here with us if you want and pipe in at any time that you would like. And we're going to shift gears here right now. But again, man, thanks for being a part of Quad Radio and Quad Radio Live tonight. If folks want to find out more about what you guys got going on over there with the MotoWorks program, I'm sure there's a place on the internet they can dial into, correct?
Yeah, definitely. They can go on to MotoWorks.com website and just look us up on there. We're going to have, all that stuff advertised on there, 100% of everything going on. So definitely just have them, anyone that's out there looking for it, it's www.motoworks.com, and just look us up, and we'll be out there. But I'm going to let you guys go and continue the show. I appreciate everything, and I appreciate, everyone out there, all the fans listening to Quad Radio. We'll be looking forward to talking to you, and once I can release all the final news for next year, I'll definitely be getting with Rodney, and we'll get all the juicy stuff out there.
All righty, man. Sounds good. Thanks again, Casey. Appreciate you talking with us and looking forward to hearing all the good news, man.
All right, I appreciate it. Live action.
Live action. That's Casey.
Casey.
That's Casey Greek. And this is Quad Radio Live, as we say thanks once again to our friends at Impact Solutions. And again, remember, Impact Solutions at 985 Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Phone them up, 304-863-0025. Your factory-authorized service center for Elka suspension in the U.S., and they can get you dialed in by going to Facebook, Impact Solutions. They've also got ImpactSolutionsATV.com on the World Wide Web. And you can also find them at the racetrack this weekend at the Ironman GNCC. As we say, welcome to GNCC and ATV Motocross, or I guess we could say Racer Productions Media Manager, I think is her title. And that is none other than one Miss ATV, Jen Kenyon. Good evening, Jen, and welcome to Quad Radio Live.
Thanks, Rodney. Thanks for having me on here. It's I guess it's been a long time coming. My first time on Quad Radio, and for some people it might seem very fitting as I'm the new ATV girl here at Racing Productions. So they call me.
That's right. I seen a very interesting picture on Monday with your face, Quad God or something like that, Quad Goddess or something.
Yeah, the guys over at Racetrack like to joke around with me about the quad thing. I don't know if anyone knows, but I have an HMF exhaust on my Yamaha YZ250S, which I don't think is even. I don't know if they make those. I don't think they do. So the joke around town has been that I'm riding a quad now. So my bike's slowly transforming into a quad. So.
We'll welcome you. We'll welcome you with open arms over here in the ATV world, won't we, Johnny?
Absolutely. She's slowly morphing. I know Tracy's extended the invite at any given time to race a quad anytime Jen's ready or to ride. So it'll take some time, but we'll get her eventually. Nice.
And I'm not sure I'm capable of riding a quad for 2 hours in the woods. I don't think I'm ready for it yet.
Oh, come on. You rode one last fall, didn't you?
Yeah, for about 30 minutes. And I was like, it took until then I'd never ridden a quad before. So when I did that, I was like, oh my goodness, I give all props, all respect to people who ride ATVs for 2 hours through the woods, because it's probably, I know it's more intense than riding a dirt bike through the woods for 2 hours, that's for sure.
I know the one time I did it, after about 30 minutes, it was time to stop and radio in some updates. I remember Angel.
Yeah, I mean, it's exhausting.
Angel Atwell and Tracy Checo passed me like 3 times, I think, on one lap. But I had the time of my life, believe it or not. It was a good time. But speaking of good times, Jen, this weekend, man, we got the Ironman GNCC coming up, and I know with Racer Productions and the GNCC family, like I was talking to John, it's just big all around, man. I mean, this one, it seems like there's so many premier GNCC events that each one of them is becoming premier and premier. We keep talking about those events, but they are exactly that. I mean, we're talking 10, 15,000 spectators plus this weekend, and a whole lot more that we kind of expect to be going on this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I've only been here for a couple seasons, but historically, the Ironman has been kind of the granddaddy of all of them. It's been the season finale for forever until we kind of switched things up last year. And it's, even though it's not the finale anymore, it's still one of the, by far the biggest race we have all year. And it's pretty cool that we still have a whole bunch of championship battles. We still have the XC2 Pro-Am ATV Championship up for grabs, and on the bike side as well. So it's going to be an exciting event all around. It's almost like a festival rather than a race. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It is exactly that, a festival. And with that, there's a few things I know that we'll be talking a little bit about in quick fill. But tomorrow, for folks that dial up GNCCRacing.com and follow that every Thursday. But, we've got everything from special events. We've got demo rides coming up this weekend. This is a pink race that we want to remind everyone of, that, bring out the pink. It's all about breast cancer awareness, and Faith Alliance there, the local breast cancer awareness chapter in Crawfordsville, Indiana, is going to be the benefactor of all the proceeds that we can actually gather up there this weekend.
Yeah, this year we're kind of focusing directly on the Faith Alliance. Like you said, it's a local community organization, so all the money that's raised is going to stay in the community that has welcomed us so graciously since 1995. So, it feels good for us to be able to give back a little bit to, what their community has done for GNCC and for all of our racers. And I know on Friday we're going to be visiting a local elementary school to talk about breast cancer awareness and some other positive living things. We've got quite a few of the ATV guys and the UTV guys in tow. So that should be a fun time. And like you said, everybody's invited to dress in pink and do as much to their ATVs and dirt bikes and everything else to kind of support the cause. But all the fundraising that we do is going to remain local, and we hope that we can help in this breast cancer awareness and research and funding, make something happen with that. So.
Yeah, that for sure. That's a big thing that we really like doing there with the GNCC, and also, like we mentioned, we're going to be doing some fundraisers. One of the fundraisers that we want to get out there is the backdrop that we're going to be using at this weekend's GNCC is actually going to be auctioned off.
Yeah, Saturday evening we have a Parks Unlimited dinner at 5:30. A little bit after everything gets underway, the dinner gets set and going. We're going to have our GNCC team there auctioning off, like we've done in the past, the pink podium backdrop. We'll have to wait until Sunday when all the bike guys have signed it and everything, but, we're going to try to, get that out there as much as possible, and, the highest bidder will get to take it home come Sunday, and it'll have, every person that finishes on the podium this weekend will sign it, and, It'll be a fun time. Just get everybody together. Rodney, from experience at Loretta Lynn's when we do the auction there. It's just a good time for the whole community, the racing community, to get together and put some money up for a good cause. So it should be a fun time Saturday evening.
Yeah, it will be. And Parts Unlimited and Moose Racing are going to be having the big dinner during that time in conjunction with that, and everyone's invited to come over for that. I know they'll be serving. Actually, I guess Pizza Frank from New York Pizzeria up in New York, that magnificent restaurant, if you've never been there in New Berlin to eat, a great place to eat, but he caters a lot of the Parts Unlimited dinners now. And he is actually coming to the Ironman GNCC to cater this one. So, man, I'm looking forward to that. I always like tip stuff, but, a change is always good, too.
Yeah, for sure. Those guys make some, their pizza and their, what are those things called? The strombolis or whatever.
Right.
Strombolis.
Yeah.
Those things are crazy.
Yes,
they guys know about food. Strombolis are where it's
at. Yeah.
So we're going to be eating some good stuff up there this weekend for sure. We got also, you mentioned going out to some of the schools and stuff. Who's going to be participating in that? And what exactly do you guys do whenever you go out to those things?
Well, normally if Johnny's there, we admire him and we listen to everything he has to say. I set it all up. I set it all up, and then once we get to the event, we follow his lead, and he kind of explains to the kids what's going on. No, we actually have a really good time. I know the racers are always pretty apprehensive at first, but once we get out there and they see what we do at the schools, I think that they have a lot of fun. What we've been doing this year is just going to elementary and middle schools and just talking to the kids. Right now, a big topic is bullying prevention awareness. A lot of it you see in the news, a lot of things, a lot of bad stuff happening with the younger kids in schools. And I think that our racers, from professional all the way down to the younger guys, like we'll see this weekend, they're pretty good advocates for that kind of stuff because, they're in a very fortunate position where they can do what they love for a living and it lets them be able to travel the country and be able to talk to kids about important issues like that. So what we do is we go into the schools, we touch on the importance of, working together and getting along with your classmates and, just people in everyday living, goal setting, ATV and motorcycle safety, stuff like that. And this weekend will be specifically focused on the breast cancer awareness, obviously. We've got a very young crew this weekend, which is going to be pretty interesting because it seems that every time we bring young racers into middle schools, we turn the whole entire female audience into super fans. So we've got
where's the green guy? Where's the green guy?
You know, we took Braden Henthorne to a school at Powerline Park. The girls were insane over him. Like, he was the most popular, amazing person in the entire school. So it was really cool to see. He had autograph lines through the hallway. Girls were missing their buses so they could get his autograph.
Oh, man. Man, Braden was a heartbreaker, huh?
So anyways, we still have girls that are messaging the GNCC Facebook account asking for his Facebook name.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. He reached full-blown Justin Bieber status. I mean, it was a sight to see, Rodney, let me tell you. It was, and to be fair, I mean, he's not that far removed age-wise as are some of the racers that are going to be accompanying Jen this weekend. It's obviously this is a young man's game, and, some of the stars of our sport are under 18 years old, so they're in a middle school, and, these girls are saying, well, how old is he? I'm like, well, he's 17. Like, he's only 7 years older than me. That could work. My parents are 7 years apart. It was entertaining but kind of scary. These middle school girls are they're definitely, I can see where the Bieber fever thing comes from, and you hear crazy stories about women or young girls like attacking their limos when they try and leave concerts. That's essentially what it was like to get Braden out of this middle school. We had to shield him, from the throngs of fans.
Kind of like a little baby beagle or something.
It was pretty interesting. It was good stuff. Yeah, so we have Landon Wolf, Marshall Goings, Kyle Cheney, the MotoWorks Can-Am UTV driver. He'll be accompanying us again. Mark Anderson, sportsman rider, and then we have a few bike guys. Mike Witkowski, he's like going for the youth overall right now on the bike side. Derek Allen and Lucas Statham. So it's a good group of local Indiana guys, and I think they'll do we have 8 guys going to the school this weekend, so it's going to be a pretty good group, and I think it's cool because they're all local, with the exception of Landon. He lives a little far, but it was great that he offered to come and take part. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and it'll be nice for these younger guys to kind of see what their future holds and take part in some of these media things that they're going to be doing a lot more.
Yeah, that's good. It's good for them. It's good for the kids, and it's good for GNCC. I think it's a great thing that you've got going on over there. Great program, and I commend you, Jen, on all the hard work and the efforts that you've put into your job as the media person with GNCC and the ATV motocross over the last couple of years. You come out fresh out of college, and you have become, I think, a big part of this GNCC Racing Nation and the ATV motocross Racing Nation. So I want to commend you on that and say hats off to you and a super job on helping spread the word about GNCC.
Thank you. I feel honored. I think it's a whole other world that I didn't really even know existed because I came, like I've said a million times, I came from the motocross side of things. So I'm just tickled to be a part of the GNCC community because it's a big family and it's a lot of fun. So
that's right.
Actually, Rodney, I can announce my UTV debut on Quad Radio.
Really? We've got breaking news.
Well, not as a driver.
But not
as a driver. I'm going to be a pilot.
Oh, really? Who are you riding with?
Rich Travelina.
Wow. You're going to be in for a ride then. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually, on the way, as I was leaving Powerline Park, I found his side-by-side sitting there missing a wheel. We got to talking. I took a photo of it. I thought it was real cool. And then, I got an email this week. He's like, hey, my co-pilot can't come this weekend. Like, do you want to ride? I'm like, well, I don't know how I feel about the whole not being in control of the machine. But I think I can handle it. So I'm going to give it a go.
Just to clarify, you chose to be a co-pilot with a guy who knocked his wheel off at the last race.
Yeah, no, it seems interesting. When I had to, I had to ask permission of Carrie today. So I went in and I said, well, what do you think about me riding in a side-by-side this weekend? And her jaw dropped. She's like, have you ever ridden? I'm like, well, I've raced GNCCs before. She's like, yeah, but who was controlling? Like, who was driving? I was like, well, me. Like, yeah, just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's fine. You can do it. I'm like, all right.
Nice. Well, I can't wait to get your experience. Maybe you can join in with us next week and tell what it's all about, what it's like for you.
I'm gonna have a GoPro. I'm gonna capture this whole deal.
Hey,
Nice.
Rodney, this is Barry. I've got the UTV track set up here, and I think, of course, I've never raced one, but I think, in my opinion, it probably is going to be one of the funnest UTV tracks that I've ever been part of setting up. So I think Jen should be in for a good ride.
Nice. Now the thing is, we got to get me a ride because I want to be out there in a passenger seat someplace as well. Because I rode one time with Chuck LeMaster, and it was one of the funnest times that I ever had. But believe it or not, you're going to be pretty stiff. You're going to be pretty sore when it's all said and done. I never realized how many muscles you could use just riding in a UTV.
Oh, my. I'm excited.
Yeah, and you should be. A couple other things we want to remind folks of before I let you off here, Jen. This being the penultimate round. I love saying that word. I learned the meaning of it about 3 years ago, so I can't wait till the last round of every series that we get to. So our penultimate round is this weekend, but our finale is coming up a few weeks away. I believe the first weekend in November at Loretta Lynn's, and we want to remind everyone we're switching things up that weekend as far as the ATV and motorcycles. Actually, ATVs will race on Sunday. Motorcycles will race on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it'll be a nice switch for people. The real reason being that we try to make our schedule alongside our the series that our racers are competing in, which the National Enduro Series has their finale the same weekend. So the best way we could fit it was to switch the bikes and the ATVs around so that the bike guys would race on Saturday and be able to race their finale on Sunday. So I think it'll be kind of cool. It'll be a nice switch up of things. I don't know, Barry, maybe you can talk about, we've had this discussion on Twitter many times about the bike guys riding the day after the quads and the quads riding the day after the bikes. It'll be different for everybody, but I think it'll be a good change for everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I think it definitely throws a curve to the ATV guys for sure. I've done it. A lot of people don't know, but I'm going to guess in about, Johnny, you may know, back 95, 96-ish, we've done, I think, 4 races one year where the bikes raced on Saturday and the ATVs raced on Sunday, and it presents a whole new challenge to the bike guys or the ATV guys, because if you are following the track and what's burnt in, a lot of times the bikes can fit through stuff that the quads can't. So you definitely got to be paying attention there. So it's a little bit different, but I think a change of pace is good.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting experience. I think it was 95. I know I was in A class, so it wasn't as bad for us. I started on the second row, but I remember you guys up front, there was 2 races where we actually would catch up to you guys because, you were having a blaze trail and something completely different than what we were used to. But
we were stuck in the trees, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think what it was more you guys were like high-centered in the ruts, looking like fish out of water. But it was a long time ago. We're kind of showing our age there. But, I personally think it's a cool thing. It gives us the opportunity, as the ATV guys, a lot of times, it's cool for the bike guys. They get to come in on Saturday and watch us and cheer us on. So the least we can do is, once a year, or however many times Racer Production has decided to do it going into the future. We certainly show up the day before. And, I try and stick around as much as I can for the rounds that permits. But, cheer those guys on. We've talked about before, Rodney, how a lot of the bike guys and quad guys have become friends over the last couple of years, and we kind of actually train together some, and good friends off the track during the week. But it's cool for us to get to watch those guys on Saturday while we would normally be racing and cheer them on, and they do that for us in point lines, and it's the least we can. It doesn't personally affect me one bit. You have a little bit different mindset going in, but a lot of the local series run it that way, and when you don't run the same day, the bikes run in the morning. So we're all used to it. Everybody's done it at one point or another, and it's just cool to have something different, especially for the last round. Adds a little bit of excitement to it.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yep, and one other thing I want to touch on before we shift gears from Jen. Jen, I know we talked about it in a meeting, a conference call earlier today. There's going to be some gravel parking area at the Ironman that folks are going to need to get in contact with Racer Productions about. You'll have all that in quick fill tomorrow, I assume?
Yeah, we're going to get some more details. The first I heard of it was when you did here today, but basically there's going to be, it's not a VIP parking, but it'll be somewhat of an upgrade as far as extra. You'll have to pay extra, but it will be, like you said, a gravel parking lot that I assume it's going to be right behind. Maybe you guys can explain more so where it is, but yeah, we'll release some details tomorrow. But it sounds like there's a limited available spots. So, kind of stay tuned to Quickfill, and once we announce the things in Quickfill, we'll tell you guys how you can get in touch with us about those spots. And, I think for a lot of people who are going to be spending the weekend at Ironman, it'll be a good thing. I don't know the exact prices just yet, but like I said, tomorrow it'll be in Quickfill. And, just look out for that information when we give it out tomorrow.
All righty, sounds real good, and big weekend, like we say, coming up, and lots of big things. Jen, I think that's about all I have. Is there anything that you wanted to pass along, or anything else that you want to pass along to everybody out there in Quad Radio land?
Not that I can think of right now. I know I make a list every week of what Quickfill, what we're going to cover in Quickfill, and I can honestly say that my list of things that's going to be out in Quickfill tomorrow is probably the longest it's been all season. So definitely stay tuned tomorrow when we release all that, because there'll be some pretty good information in there, and you can kind of tie up all the loose ends there. All
righty, sounds good. GNCCRacing.com is where you can get involved in Quickfill. Another thing we want to remind folks about GNCC, pre-registration will save you the time of waiting in line, I promise you. Go to GNCCRacing.com, pre-register. It is the best thing for you to do.
Yeah, and also another note on that pre-registration, we have changed our system, so if you don't have a reserve number, you can go and pre-register, and they will give you a number there. So pre-registration is no longer for people who have reserve numbers. Anyone can do it. I encourage everybody to do it, because there's no reason not to. It saves you time. It saves everybody else time. Johnny, you should be pre-registering. because last year at Ironman, Johnny almost missed his race because he forgot to register. So.
Oh.
Ouch. I didn't know we were going to start hearing things like that. I don't know.
I think it's awesome.
Well, I think you've been doing it a long time. You kind of forget there was another race where I actually forgot to sign up completely. It wasn't a GNCC, but I threw out the start line, and I think you were present for that one as well.
Yeah, I signed you up.
I'm old. I got what's that? Alzheimer's. I got that.
The point is, if you guys are even. If you have a reserve number or not, I think it makes total sense to pre-register for every race, because it's just easier.
It is.
No, definitely.
Hey, you guys, something
when you go ahead.
Something to throw in there with the pre-registration. If you have a number on your ATV and you want to pre-register, and if that number's already taken, that's really not a big deal. I think they'll give you a number. So it may not, your number on your helmet may not match the number on your quad, but you still can pre-enter, and like Jen said, it saves everybody a lot of time.
Yeah, it just picks the next available number. Like they changed the system around after Unadilla to make it easier for everybody. So, yeah, like Barry said, it'll choose a number for you, but really that's just a way to track you. You can run whatever you want on your quad.
Great. Well, Jen, again, thanks. Stick around if you want, and join in and pipe in anytime you want. We're going to shift gears into track things that folks, I'm sure, are wondering about as well. Going to talk a little bit about the history of the Ironman GNCC coming up here. Jen, again, thanks for being a part of this, and want to say thanks again to Impact Solutions, ATV.com on the World Wide Web, and Impact Solutions is your factory-authorized service center for Elka suspension. They're located trackside of the GNCCs. They're also at 985 Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia. You can phone them up 304-863-0025. And something else to pass along, Elka Suspension, Elka Racing, or ElkaSuspension.com. They're also taking resumes for sponsorship for 2013. So make sure you get in on that, Elka Racing. You can actually get that from the probably ImpactSolutionsATV.com. Go right to the Elka Suspension Race website itself. But shifting gears now to GNCC Racing in Indiana, the Ironman with one Barry Hawk, and I believe we just who do we got in there? Who just piped in there with us?
Hey, man, what's going on? It's your two-wheeled brother.
Is this Chris Bach?
Chris Bach. Oh, I have to stay on now. I was just about to go.
All right. Well, Chris is in and going to bring.
Somebody gave Bach the call-in number. I love it.
I almost gave Chris Bach a shout-out because he tweeted that he was going to be listening.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I'm on it.
There you go.
He's the
Well,
number one.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just wanted to call in, man. I said I was going to come and crash this four-wheel party, and so far the show's been pretty good, so I just wanted to join in on the fun.
Well, good, man. I'm glad.
Rodney, I got something there. Johnny or some of the ATV guys, since the bikes race on Saturday at Loretta's, how about somebody flip a quad for Chris to race on Sunday down there? I think that'd be maybe open the guys up to a whole other spectrum there.
Wow.
Hey, man, if anyone will let me do
Johnny,
it,
you can ride practice bike.
Jen's favorite saying is you can ride Johnny's practice bike. She thinks that I say that to everyone, but Chris, you can ride my practice bike.
There you go.
Well, here's the thing: is I can't guarantee it that I will make it off the starting line without crashing around the first turn. But I'll give it 100%.
I don't even care. I just want to see it. Like, if you bring it back and all that's left is the handlebars, I'm fine with it. I want to see. Dude, you're one tall dude, and to see you on a quad is going to be worth the price of admission just by itself. We got all the right stuff. We'll put stickers over anything with the conflict, but the most important thing is it's a Yamaha and that works, so we're good. We'll make it.
Well, time out here. I was watching ATV motocross on Racer TV a couple weeks ago, and isn't the dude who's a stud at that really tall also?
Yeah, Chad's a pretty tall dude.
Yeah, see? I got it, no problem. Not the same, right?
Hey, Barry, you remember those seats they used to run on the 250R that were like, 3-4 inches taller, those high flights? What do you think we could probably... Oh,
yeah, high flight. Yep, that's what he needs. That way he has more cushion there for the tallness of him or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, he would totally look like a fish out of water, but I think that'd be pretty awesome.
I think I'd be better off on a Can-Am UTV thing, or just give me one of Barry's four-wheelers.
Hey, you can race my work quad. That's what I'm calling it, my Can-Am quad. It's got by the end of this weekend it'll have 3,000 miles on it, so it'll be broke in, and you can tear it up.
I can't even get stuck. It's all-wheel drive, right? So I'm good to go.
It is, yep, four-wheel drive. Well, I wouldn't say you can't get stuck, but if you do get stuck, it is going to be totally your fault. It's not going to be the machine's fault.
Fair enough.
This is awesome. I can't wait.
So this is official. Now, this is official. Chris Bach, you are saying that you will ride an ATV at Loretta Lynn's.
If someone would let me do it, and someone is dumb enough to let me do it.
Well,
I could possibly see me. I seriously could see me attempting to race well, I don't know if it'd be a race. It'd be more of I'd be participating while others are racing in the morning race on like a utility quad. Those guys race are insane. I don't want any part of that nonsense. So I'll take a work quad.
Chris, I'll tell you right now, if you want to do it, if you are going to attempt it to just go out there and have fun, you need to race Johnny's practice quad or a race quad more than a utility quad, because you will have more fun on a race quad, on Johnny's practice quad or whatever, than you would on a utility quad. I'm not telling you not to race a utility quad, but I recommend you racing a race quad.
So are you saying that way when I get just demolished, at least I'm not getting beat by every girl in the girl class in the morning race?
No, dude, you're going to get beat by every girl in the girl class. There's no doubt. It's not even, like, no offense. I mean, believe me, if I jumped on a bike and rode a morning bike race, Maria and the rest of those girls would make me look like I'd never ridden a bike before in my life. And I
don't think you guys understand how terrible I am on a four-wheeler. I rode a buddy's quad around his yard as he was doing some yard work and was pulling a little fertilizer thing behind it. I couldn't even do nothing around in the yard. I wanted to stick my leg out. I couldn't get like the body positioning right. I was totally out of my element. No idea what I'm doing.
That means you got to wear a helmet, Cam.
Yeah, exactly. Good point, Ron.
Maybe we can get someone to sponsor it.
Understand, this absolutely must happen. There is no... This isn't something we just talk about and it falls by the wayside. This has to happen. Like, I will provide a bike if you want to ride a sport quad. If you would rather ride a utility, I will go buy you a utility. You have to do this. This has to happen.
Johnny, you're the marketing guy. Why don't you get some people to sponsor this thing? We'll put it on a helmet cam, and we'll go after it, and then we'll talk about it and how terribly sore I am, if I even survive the week after on Quad Radio.
There you go.
There's a good chance you won't survive, Chris.
Oh, I'm pretty, but it's the last race of the season, so I got all off-season to heal up.
Hey, Chris, weren't you that patch the day that we just threw Squire randomly on my practice bike and sent him out there? And then Baylor...
I was not there.
We can't discuss brands, but Baylor jumped on a quad. We'll say it was a KTM quad. Went out, and it was calm. I mean, actually, Squire did really well. Baylor admitted to even tweeted that he nearly killed himself several times, but no, all's fair. I mean, we'll go out and race bikes. I know, Chris has a bike. There's a lot of Jill has a bike. Bethel has a bike. I've had bikes throughout my career many times, so there's a lot of respect between us, but I would love to see you race a quad. And like you said, participate while others are racing. Certainly don't want to see you go out there and injure yourself, but I think it would be cool for you just to get that perspective.
Whatever, dude. If I'm racing, I'm laying it all out there. 100% it. All in.
Yard sale. Epic yard sale first turn. Calling it now.
Hey, you guys line it up, and I will do it. I'm in. If somebody lines it up, I'm all in.
There you go.
All right, it's done.
Well, the cool thing about it is, don't we always, or we have in the past, had swap meets at the Ironman GNCC, right? Or no, actually at the last race of the year, which has traditionally been the Ironman. Are we going to have a swap meet at the at Loretta Lynn's possibly, so Johnny can recoup some of his losses?
No, we're just going
to bring a bunch of stuff.
Chris.
Hey, Rodney, how about, since we're going through this with Chris, why don't we get Johnny a bike to race on Sunday at the Ironman?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, there we go. There we go.
Then he can race.
Is Johnny silent? Is Johnny silent right now? That may be a first time.
I'm as long as the rules permit, I'm in.
Barry, I know we've crossed this bridge.
I have a Yamaha.
I know we crossed this bridge with Barry Hawk a couple of years.
I'm sure. Why I'm not sure what you're thinking. Why I wouldn't permit. It's the day after, and you're not. If you're racing the sportsman class in the morning, it should be fine. I would think.
There you go.
I would think so. I'm just saying. I certainly.
Or wait a minute.
Anything where.
wait a minute. Or was you thinking of racing the senior class in the afternoon?
Yeah.
Hey, I have a Yamaha 250S that's rear.
There you go.
It's got HMF exhaust on it.
You even got an stuff.
There you go, Johnny.
It's blue.
I'm game. I'm not scared. I ride bikes a good bit. I generally have a rule of not doing so during the season, but if I'm going to call Bach out, I can't be scared to do the same. I'll be the first person to admit I'm definitely going to be taking it a little bit easy. I had as we talked about on Quad Radio a few months ago, I had a little issue on a bike before Kentucky and ended up on crutches for a couple days. So, but I'll race. I mean, I'm definitely not scared. So are we going to make this like some kind of a competition where we see who does better on the other, or is it just purely for fun?
Oh, no, it's not for fun. It's 100% a competition. There has to be some stake, and we have to race the comparable classes. So whatever the sportsman class is, I'll race that, and then you have to race the comparable class on a bike, and then whoever finishes the work, that's the bike.
Which is going to be awesome because the sportsman classes on the quads have like 150 people on the line.
Okay, so it has...
No. That's only for Ironman. At Unadilla or at Loretta's, it won't be that bad. It'll probably be like 25 or 30, maybe.
But if there's a lot of people, we'll just have to go by like finishing percentage or whatever. Like you finished in the top.
Well, I think it should be based on overall.
Yeah, just go by overall.
All right, we can do that.
But with this being said, I would right now, hearing Chris talk about how little amount of time he has on an ATV, I'm leaning towards Johnny pulling the overall off a little higher than Chris. Just for the fact of hearing
I'm trying to blow
how...
spot here. I'm trying to make myself look good. Please don't do it.
Hey,
can we be like golf?
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll say, can we do it like golf where I can get like a handicap?
I'll give you a handicap as long as it's within reason. I mean,
Chris, you get one less hour.
That is
true. That is true.
Than you're used to, so that's going to be a handicap right there for you.
Yeah, but I don't have to carry around like 500 pounds.
Yeah.
And you have the additional bonus of your season being over with. I still have one more race to worry about, so I'm going to have to be a little more conservative, so I think that's a partial handicap.
And you have 2 extra wheels.
Yeah, exactly. I don't even have to balance myself.
Exactly. I promise you, I am going to fall down. There is no doubt about that.
Oh, I'm in, man. Let's do it.
So
everyone can see it.
So, Johnny, when are you racing again? What day are you racing and which race? Is it the Ironman you're going to be racing on Sunday, or are you going to be racing?
Apparently, they've decided it's Ironman, which I guess is of the dumb ideas we could come up with, that would be the least dumb, because certainly I don't want to ride. Well, I'm sure that would void the rules. Is for me to ride Saturday at Loretta's, because that would allow me to see the track ahead of time. Plus, I wouldn't want to take the chance of riding 24 hours before I'm supposed to race and kind of have a little bit on the line. So, yeah, Sunday night Ironman it is.
Ironman it is.
Right, someone bring Johnny a bike. I would say you could ride my practice bike, but, no. So, I think, well, we could, if you're going to do Sunday, we might be able to line up a 450 for you if you think you can handle it, big boy.
I'm just going to shut my mouth. So whatever you guys come up with, you just let me know. If we're spinning our wheels and can't find anything, I'll have to call my boy Walker and see if he can bring me his little practice 125 he's got. And then it'll really be a handicap, 200-pound dude on the 125.
I've got a 250S that you can use. Got an HMS
Yamaha. There you go.
He does have a 250F Yamaha with an HMS pipe on it. I've seen it, so I know that is the case. Can you want to commit to this? Obviously, anything, I will crash it, but I will fix anything that gets bent, tweaked, or mangled. I promise that.
I'm not worried.
I can't make such a promise. I don't know if my bank account's big enough to fix all the stuff I'm going to break.
Buddy, I'm not worried about what you mangle on that quad. I'm all in just for the experience of it. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader, like side of the track, shirt off, waving it around, screaming, "Come on, Chris Bach, let's do it!" It's gonna be epic. Seriously, like, I might have fan club T-shirts made up for you. I'm just saying.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Well, let's find out what we're going to be looking forward to. We'll get back to some more of this in a little bit. We got Barry Hawk on here right now. And, Barry, what are these guys going to be looking forward to as far as this weekend is concerned? As the Ironman GNCC track, I guess, is it going to be a traditional track?
Well, just for starters, it's raining right now. But it's not raining. It's not raining too terribly bad, and actually we could use a little bit of rain out in the open because it's a little bit dusty. The woods are about perfect, and the rain that we're getting now isn't going to hurt the woods. So I think, as of right now, it's looking like it's going to be the perfect dirt come race time. As for the track, it's hard to put in a bunch of new stuff because there's not a lot of new stuff here, but what I've put in, making some of the changes that I'm able to, I think it should be fun for the guys. And it's kind of hard to explain, I guess, over quad radio when I lay the track out, because normally I'll take like 1 or 2 mile section and I'll tie that piece together, and then, say, from the 2 mile marker to the 3, I'll try and figure out the funnest way to get to the 3 mile marker and on to the 4 and 5. I tie it all together. But once it's done, in the track, I've got a loop figured out which way we're going. But once it's done, I normally don't get to ride the thing from start to finish because I'm always working on different pieces of track once I get the section figured out. But at the Ironman, we have a lot of help here, a lot of local help. So I think I'm a little bit ahead of schedule. So I did tonight. I went and rode an entire lap nonstop, and I think it should be really, really fun for the guys. I mean, you go through some new stuff, and then you'll pop out onto an existing trail, and then you'll come out into a field, and then you're back into some new stuff, and I think overall it should be a really fun track for the guys. So, hopefully everybody comes away from here enjoying it, and hopefully everybody has fun.
I know that this one, whether it's muddy, whether it's dry, whether it's perfect, it's always a good track and always a lot of fun for everybody to participate in. And I want to talk a little bit about the Ironman. There's a lot of tradition here in this particular event, and I know it means a lot to you, Barry, as an ATV racer, and I know it means a lot to Chris Bach as well, as a motorcycle racer, being from Indiana and having one of the bigger events. And what I want to do is I want to get I just want to kind of get the perspective of what Chris Bach's side of the story is, since he comes in so late and so forth, and then Barry being around for so long. Chris, what about the Ironman, man? I mean, is this something huge for the GNCC? Obviously, it's something huge for that area of Indiana. For the Indiana racer, is it the Ironman kind of like one of the pinnacles of the GNCC for them as well, for you guys?
I don't even think that you have to be from Indiana to feel that way about this race. I mean, from everyone that has ever been to the Ironman, everyone knows what a great course it always is and what a great time it always is. And, it's not just an Indiana thing. I think it's everyone that's involved in off-road racing. They know about this race, and they make it one that they always want to come to.
Yeah. Now, what kind of things did you hear about it before you ever went? I mean, what kind of history when you think of the Ironman, what does it mean to you as a racer?
Man, I've been doing this race since I was on mini bikes, and I think my dad might have just heard about it through like us doing local hair scrambles and stuff like that, and we started going on 80s, and it was pretty fun, and we just kept doing it for a while. That was the only GNCC that we could do, because it was the only one feasible for us to get to, and it was always great. It's kind of like a hometown race for me. I grew up 2 hours from there, and the dirt's great, everything's great, and Barry's got quite big shoes to fill with making another great course. And he's been doing a good job all this year, and everyone's expectations are really high for this track. It's always really good. The fields are amazing. The grass tracks are the best part by far. And, I think Barry's going to keep up the good work, and hopefully we should be good to go for this weekend. I think no matter how much rain we get, it always seems that Ironman parking lot can get really bad, but the trail is always absolutely perfect conditions. It doesn't matter if it rains 3 feet or 3 inches. It doesn't matter. The track's always great.
That's good. That says a lot about the place for sure, and it's got a lot of like we say, a lot of history with it, and it means a lot to a lot of different people. But Barry, to you as an ATV racer, this Ironman means probably that and a whole lot more.
Yeah, definitely. It's I think maybe it's our 18th year here, so. I didn't realize that till earlier seeing that, and I guess actually it was at dinner, and I think Jeff Russell said, this is our 18th year, and a couple people said, I've been here 6 years, and I just looked at him, I said, I've been here every year. I've raced, up until 2010, I've raced here every year, bikes and quads, I've done it, and, it's one of those things, and I think a lot of it has to do with it, not just the local community being behind it, and the shavers, the property owners, they're behind it 100%. I think a lot of it has to do with the actual the dirt here. And Chris mentioned it earlier. The dirt, it's always going to be good. I think that has a lot to do with the actual track and the guys having fun. If you could buy dirt and put it on your own personal track to go have fun, this would be the dirt you would buy. It's just, I think it's, whatever, I guess it's farmland or whatever, and that's, really has a lot to do with it. That's one side of it. The other side is the Ironman, and I guess a lot of the newer people or whatever don't really understand why it's called the Ironman. It's because of Bob Ironman Sloan. He was an ATV racer. Well, back when I first started, I remember when I was in the B class and Bob Sloan was racing, when I was in the B class and I would hear about Bob Sloan and Chuck DeLulu and those guys, they were the pro riders, and I would just look at them and like, wow, that's the pro riders. And I eventually got to the point where I raced them, and I've raced everyone from Chuck DeLulu, Bob Sloan on the quad, to Chris Bach, Utah Summer, and David Knight on the bikes. I've raced the best guys in the world on ATVs and the best guys in the world on the bike. But hands down, the most intimidating person, without a doubt, was Bob Sloan to race against. If I caught up to Bob, or if I was in front of Bob and I saw him coming behind me, it was like that number 3 of Dale Earnhardt. It was like, holy crap, there's Bob, because he was by far the toughest person I've ever raced against. I remember one year at Brownsville, I passed him. That was my home track. I passed him 10 feet from the finish. I was an outside move, and, Bob was a wily old veteran, and I was the young punk, and I came in and passed him. Well, he just kept it on and hit he hit me, and we both ended up flipping and flying and rolling, and next thing I know, we're both on the ground. We're literally 10 feet from the finish. And when we both jumped up to run to our quad, Bob's quad was on its wheels and mine was upside down, and he got the win. So, he was definitely, he was by far the most intimidating person I ever raced against. And, that's where the Ironman name came from, was from Bob Sloan. He was from Martinsville, Indiana, and, he was great person to race against, that's for sure.
No doubt. And, his family still comes to the race every once in a while. I know his daughter comes out every once in a while, and it still means a lot to their family to have that name tagged with one of the greatest GNCC races of all time there in Indiana. And with that, Barry, talking about Bob Sloan and the years past, man, 18 years, you say we've been coming to Crawfordsville, correct?
Correct, 18 years. That's what Jeff Russell said, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that's correct. 95 was the first year. Bob passed away at Starvation Point in a battle with Barry in 94, and the idea came up at the banquet that year or around that time to name the event and find something close to his hometown, and that's where the Ironman came from. First year was 1995. I remember it like it was yesterday, and turns out now Barry's crushing my dreams and telling me it was 18 years ago.
Now, Johnny, I'm sure this race means a lot to you as well because, you were a young guy coming up through, and you looked up to Bob, you looked up to Barry and Chuck and all those guys that raced before you. I mean, and, to have something that traumatic take place in the infancy of the series like it was and like it did, I mean, that was pretty traumatic to the racing community at that time.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was something that has affected, the racing community and me personally throughout my life. But, I kind of dealt with it and rolled with it like I know Bob would have, and, like Barry did and the rest of us all did. Bob loved competition. He loved GNCC racing. He loved the sport. The Ironman moniker came from not only his intense competitive nature, but he was the first guy to do the quads on Saturday and then run the bikes on Sunday. His reasoning was it was additional training for him. He was there anyway, which ultimately, as Barry has stated many times in interviews and over his career, kind of started Barry off on the path that who would have guessed so many years later would lead to GNCC championships, not only on quads but also on bikes, and the only one to ever win a championship on both and races on both. So I'm sure Barry can tell you, Bob was his inspiration and kind of brought all that out of him. And as for me, I was a youth rider back in the infancy of the series in 89 and 90, and got to know Bob, and actually his son Jason raced a little bit of youth ATVs as well, and then ultimately came back years later and dabbled in the pro class a little bit and did pretty well. But, watching Barry and Bob, and, Barry was telling that story, and it definitely brought back memories for me. I was standing there for that finish between Barry and Bob back at Brownsville, Luzerne Park, and, it was crazy to see. I mean, obviously what you were witnessing there was a young Barry Hawk hungry for wins and hungry for a championship, and Bob Sloan was at the top of his game and wasn't going to give it up easy. So they battled it right down to the wire, and it was funny, Barry. I don't know if you saw the picture that your wife posted on Instagram, but it was you guys. I think it was the last lap coming to the finish. If not, it was that same day when you guys battled right there.
Yes, it was. Yep.
Right where there was the pavilion there and the barrels. We say barrels and people look at us like we're crazy.
Yeah.
Long before the scoring chicane and electronic scoring, this was all hand scored. Just with numbers on the side of your helmet. And actually, there was different barrels for each class. So here come, and ultimately, I think if you would talk to Jeff Russell, and at the time, obviously Big Dave, I think your finish there led to the idea of a finish line chicane, so that we couldn't ever have anything like that again. Where you guys were hammered down, headed for the barrels side by side, and there was nothing to stop you guys. And I still remember to this day watching the scores and your bikes both flip end over end, and you guys, neither one of you wanted to lift, and that was Bob, and definitely an inspiration to all of us back then, and still to this day. I mean, I kind of. Rodney, you and I talked about this a couple of years ago at Ironman. It didn't come through that day, but, hey, I'm going for one more year. So I remember telling my dad the first year we drove out to Ironman in 1995 was just him and I driving in the truck, and I was just a young kid, 17 years old. And Bob was a hero of mine, as was Barry. But, we were coming out to Bob's race, and I told my dad, I said, one day I'm going to win an overall here, and I'm going to dedicate that to Bob when I do, and that's something that's always stuck with me. I kind of feel like I've failed, so it was if there's one to win for more than one reason, obviously, I mean, huge spectator turnout, but for me personally, just what it meant to to look up to a guy like Bob Sloan and what he stood for and the man that he was, and like you mentioned before, his family is there yearly. Get the opportunity to talk with him once a year, and it's cool that they still come out and support the event, and in honor of their Bob. So he was the man, and it was cool to cool of Racer Production to do what they do, naming the event after him, and it's taken on such a life of its own. Like you said, a lot of people don't really know where it came from, and you can't blame them for that. I mean, they weren't around. That was 18 years ago.
Right.
But it was definitely, he was the man, and the event is his legacy going on, and that's pretty cool to have.
Barry, is an event you ever, I guess you probably did win that on the ATV anyway, didn't you?
Yep, I know I won on the ATV and I won on the bike, but I don't know how many wins. If I have more than one on the ATV, I'm not sure. But I did win, definitely did win on the ATV and win on the bike. So, it was definitely great feeling here with all the spectators, like Johnny said, and, the Iron Man, because of Bob Sloan, I mean, it's definitely one to remember for sure.
No doubt, and I think this weekend is probably going to present its obstacles. We got the traditional Ironman hill climb in there, I guess.
Yep. Actually, the 10 o'clock race is not going up the Ironman hill, but the 1 o'clock ATV and the 1 o'clock bike races are going up the hill, and they're actually getting to it the same way they did last year. They got to go through the creek and then go under the bridge on the right side, and then you turn and go up the hill. And actually, on Tuesday, I went up the very first, the steepest hill on the bike. I went up it on the first try. I didn't make it all the way. The last 4 feet I had to push, but I did make it. So it's going to be basically like last year, but maybe a little more chewed up. Mother Nature, does its thing, and the shell rock is exposed or whatever. So there's a little less traction than there was last year, which is a little rougher on the racers, but a little better for the spectators.
Yep. Well, that's I guess kind of stinks if you're in the 10 o'clock race, but man, if you're going to be a spectator, you're going to see a great race down there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And all in all, it looks like you guys are all set up, geared up, man. The whole town is gearing up. Everything's going pink up there, and the Ironman GNCC is about ready to, I guess, write more history, more pages in the history books.
Absolutely. We're like I said earlier, we're in my book, we're a little ahead of schedule. So to me, that means if we're ahead of schedule, then that gives me a little more time to the attention to detail stuff, and maybe give me a little bit more time to search out maybe a couple pieces here and there that I can put in for the guys to maybe make it a little more technical, a little more interesting for them. So, and that's always my goal, is to make it fun and interesting for the guys. So hopefully I can pull that off again this year.
I think you'll do a fine job. Well, Barry, appreciate you being a part of the show tonight. And Johnny Gallagher, want to say thanks to you again for being a part of the show. Always a class act, no doubt.
No, I greatly appreciate having me on, Rodney. I'm available anytime, and appreciate the opportunity.
All righty, and I don't know if Chris Bach, you still on?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely still here.
So after hearing Barry's rendition of the Ironman GNCC, I'm sure it probably means a little bit more to you, even being from Indiana, knowing what and who Bob the Ironman Sloan is, right?
Actually, growing up here, I have a bunch of friends from down in the Martinsville, Bloomington area, and I've always heard a bunch of stories about Bob from back in the day and all that. So even as a bike guy, I knew who Bob was, and kind of had a general idea of how everything went down with the race and stuff like that. But good to get the official history from the bus over here.
There you go. There you go. Well, I guess I want to say thanks to you for crashing, and I just want you to know you're welcome to do that any time. Just to let folks know what's going on with Chris Bach. What is going on with you right now? What is as far as the rest of the race season? I know you've been kind of absent a lot here lately. Are you going to be racing this? I guess you will be racing this weekend. an ATV anyway.
Yeah, we're.
Well, I guess not. I guess that's Loretta's.
Indiana.
You'll be racing Loretta's, won't you? But anyway, go ahead. What was you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say I'm actually up here in Indiana now, visiting my family and stuff, and just kind of getting geared up for this weekend. We're going to go this weekend, and hopefully it goes well. And I guess we're going to Loretta's and we're racing four-wheelers. So that should be a good time. But yeah, definitely we'll be at the track Saturday cheering on Johnny and the boys, and see if Gallagher can get his win and maybe stop his boy Boric from putting on another one.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. I'll be out there Sunday for sure. Apparently racing in the morning, but after that in the afternoon, I'll be on the side of the track and down at Man Hill Times, making sure my boy Bach and all my other bike guys, get through there clean. And I think it'd be pretty cool to see Chris get a win in his home state. And it's been a up and down season for him, but he's got a lot of stuff going his way. So it'd be pretty awesome to see him get a win there in his home state, and especially at an event this big. So. I'll be cheering, buddy.
Sounds good. I wonder, Johnny, who gets the running for the podium of the biggest four-wheeler fan from the bike side? I know me and Canny, we got to be up there running for a podium spot.
You and Canny are up there. I think you guys are getting some heat though from the XC2 boys. You got Baylor and DeLong that are both been coming by. They were hanging out at the house down in Florida, like you stopped in, and they're always coming by the trailer checking out what's going on. And actually, if anybody, probably nobody picked up on it, but if you look at the Chris Bach championship picture from Unadilla, Stu Baylor's in the background. He's there on the podium in a pink Forge banded shirt with his hat pulled down. You can't even really tell it's him, but he's just to the right of center. That is, in fact, Stu Baylor. So those guys they're trying to come up and take your title from you. So you better watch the young gun.
I'm going to have to polish up my skills and surf some coattails a little bit better.
Hey, with Chris racing Loretta's, if he pulls that off, hey Johnny, I think he's going to definitely go to the top of the running in that.
Oh, absolutely, no question. I mean, that's like we got the bonus points obviously for the top four positions in GNCC. I think Chris raced the quad at Loretta is certainly, I mean, that's got to be worth like 100 bonus points, and they're all within like 5 points right now. So you're going to take just a huge lead if you can pull that one off.
Johnny,
I'm going for the win.
Here's the thing, Johnny.
You might be going for the greatest of all time title at that point.
Here's what we need to do. What we need to do is we need to have a special presentation at the banquet. Chris, you need to come to the ATV banquet. We need to get Nate to come to the ATV banquet, Stu and Andrew and all the guys that are in the running, all to come to the ATV banquet at the GNCC. And I think we should have some sort of awards presentation there.
Do the podium, but there's a lot of guys that are going to be bummed if they're not on that podium. So we're going to have to come up with a pretty official scoring system. I mean, obviously, Chris, you go out through race Loretta's. I mean, you're obviously clear champion. You're the Grand National champion, no question. But that second, third, and fourth spot. I mean, all those guys are really in the running, and there's some others we haven't mentioned that are pretty up in there trying to take some points as well. So it could be an all-out brawl.
Well, it's pretty obvious that I'm not going to win the bike championship, so I definitely want to win something and leave the banquet with an award.
I'm feeling you, brother. I'm struggling to try to hang on to number 7 at this point.
Hey, Johnny, by the way, did you listen to last week's show with Mike Trapp on there?
I did, actually. I didn't hear it all, but I got to hear some clips of it. And I did. I thought that was pretty interesting. I mean, obviously, if they have championships for if come what maybes, maybe I'd have one. But we all knew the point system coming into the season. It's cool. It's a cool fact. I appreciate Mike doing all that work on that. And obviously, kind of with Chris DNF in this weekend, it even mixed things up further. So I didn't look to see if he's updated it, but. The 2002 points, I might be the champ right now, but like I said, it's a cool fact. But we all knew coming into the season how the points work, and you know, anybody that's on Twitter sees that I've been taking a lot of flack here lately over conservative Johnny. Chris and Tracy and a number of the others have given me that label because I've been real consistent this year, but I haven't had any breakout rides. Been, you know, fighting through some injuries and other stuff, and just haven't had speed early in the races. And actually, Tracy kind of fired me up with my pit stop a little bit at St. Clairsville, and you know, with the pit board and some prodding words, I guess you would say. It was time to leave conservative Johnny at home. So I don't know. I mean, if I can come out swinging an Ironman, you know, definitely the last 3 laps at St. Clairsville, I kind of showed per laps because I had the speed to run with anybody on the track. Unfortunately, my first 2 laps just weren't there. So, but long story short, yeah, it was cool. Mike went through and did all the points and figured out the way it would have worked with the old scoring system. And apparently, Chris would have still been leading the points, but I would be number 2. But, you know, hey, if I can finish out the season, in the top 10, single digit, you know, I'll be pretty happy. I'm gunning for. Jared McClure and I were back and forth for 6th there for a long time, but then his podium at Unadilla and 4th at this last race, I think he's 14 or 16 points in front of me, so not out of reach, but I'm just going to go try and put good runs in, and Kevin Yoho and I are real close. Brian Wolf's not too far behind. My best number ever was in 98, I believe it was. I was number 7, so if I could match that again at my age, and not just my age, but how much more, not more competitive, but how many more people there are and how much the pace has progressed. I mean, you know, Barry and anybody can tell you it gets faster and faster and faster every year. So for me to still be able to hang on and be competitive and get better with age, I'm pretty stoked about it. So, it's definitely looking forward to this weekend. And like I said, that if I could choose one to win, I mean, obviously you choose to win them all, but if I could choose one event to win, Ironman would be it. And I think that would pretty well scratch off my bucket list for things I want to do in life. I mean, that's a huge event, and I'm stoked. I'm already excited sitting here right now, and we still got 2 more days to go.
Nice.
Hey guys, let me ask you a question. I don't know if you guys have touched on the results and stuff so far this year for the quad guys, but you know, my question here, I guess, is McGill switched this year, and he's had good results and he's had horrendous results. Is it? What do you guys think the cause of McGill's inconsistency is? Because if you look at it, he's like 2, 2, 2, 2, but his bad scores are 15, 16, 14, where you got like Walker's bad scores is 16, but then he's got some 4s, and that's it. And Kaiser's got a 12 and a 15, but then he's 3s and 4s across the board. So like, what do you think McGill's issue is with the up and down, up and down, up and down, and why can't he seem to keep himself in the podium like he's been in the past?
If I said what I think, I'd be the most hated man in ATV racing, so I'm just going to shut my mouth. What does it have to do with the color of the bike he's riding?
Yeah, but, I mean, I don't know, maybe. He's got the speed is there, the results show it. It's just sometimes he just can't put it together.
No, definitely. You know, and all joking aside, I mean, Adam's a good dude, and they they're working really hard on that program. If I had to give my opinion on it, all ripping and brand loyalty aside, it's tough. I mean, Adam's been a factory rider since 2008. He's gotten away from having to run his own program this year. He took everything back in-house. He's got great people around him, good sponsors, but they just really struggled through teething issues this year. But, they're learning with each event, and, I know Adam has said time and time again he's going to come back and contend for a championship next year, and I have no reason to believe that he won't. So I think it was just a lot of teething problems with the new program, and, having basically everything taken away from you over the years. All you're responsible for is riding, and then all of a sudden everything's dropped back in your lap. You got to prep the bikes, you got to decide what parts go on the bikes, and it's a big undertaking. So it's been tough on him, but he soldiered through. Got himself a win last weekend, and I was stoked for him for that. So I'm sure he'll get it all squared away.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
What I see is, I think the quad is good. I know on the bike side of it and on the quad side of it, I know what goes into it. The bike guys, I don't think you're not looking for a lot more out of the engine power-wise with the YZ, the bike you're riding. On the quads, those guys are always looking for a little bit more. I think McGill is looking for a little bit more out of his quad. And I think, like Johnny said, they're having some issues. And probably every race they're getting a little bit better and figuring out what they need and what's not working. And I think that's what it's coming down to is the teething issues, like he said. They're trying to get more out of the quad than what it's capable sometimes. And, you know, it's reflected in his results, but, you know, he's right there not week in and week out, but he got the win last race, so, you know, maybe he's got to figure it out. I guess we'll see this weekend if he's going to be there, but I think that's what it comes down to is sometimes they're trying to get a little more out of it than what the quad can handle.
Yeah, and I kind of draw a parallel even to Mullins is, you know, those are both guys that you expect to see up 1-2 every single race, no matter what, and you do. You always see McGill up front. You always see Mullins up front, but then the results, and they're all guys, everyone on the results, Porter, Fowler, Kaiser, those are all guys that you expect to be up there. And you know, they have pretty average results, I guess, for what I would expect them to be. They're right where I thought they would be. But McGill, you know, I've been a friend of Adams for a while, and I cheer him out of the race like everybody else, and I expected him to be up there. And you know, you see him fluctuate like that, and it's got to be tough on him. I hope he turns it around here pretty soon.
Yep, I think with his win last weekend, you know, hopefully, I've been in that position before where you're trying to figure stuff out, and if you get a win, and if he got the win at St. Clairsville, so hopefully he just freshened everything up, and he brings the same quad and the same setup out here to Ironman. Maybe he can make a few small tweaks, but as long as he doesn't do nothing drastic, I think he'll be there at the end. So, you know, he's definitely got the talent to do it. It's just if he can keep the quad where it was last race, I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully him and our buddy over there, Johnny, can get up there and put another green box on their points row. You know, in the way.
Yeah, I know. Johnny, at the end of St. Clairsville, the last couple laps, I mean, he was on it, and it's you know, he's. I think, Johnny, are you the oldest guy on the front row?
Yeah, by
gotta be
a few years.
Yeah. So basically, you're where I was back in 2009 and 2010, and you know, a lot of it, you know, what works on the quad and what doesn't work, and I think a lot of it comes down to motivation, and if you feel like doing it, and you know, things are going right, then you're going to be up there. So I think just it's easy to sit back and for me to say now because I've been in your shoes, but just go out there and try and have fun. And you know, if you're having fun, you're going to do good.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and I love what I do. I'm having a blast. You know, it's definitely for me. You know, this season's been. You know, everybody, myself included, have been kind of pleased as far as, you know, what the points show. But for me as a rider, it definitely hasn't been a great season. I mean, I've struggled through just about every hurdle somebody could encounter this year, from injuries to, you know, bike issues. But I think the biggest thing that I can, you know, racing obviously is, you know, it's my life. It's what I do. It's what I love. But it's also, for me, it's like anything else. It's a test. And, you know, I know I've put more on the track and off the track this year than I have in any other year, and you know, it's even if the results don't show it at the end of the year, you know, I'll be pleased with the outcome. But for me personally, as a racer, you know, you want to be up there, you want to be banging bars, and you know, sometimes for me, I get a little bit complacent in, you know, I am older. I think things through a little bit more. You know, when I'm not feeling, you know, Barry, I remember you saying there's days where you just weren't. It's not that you didn't want to be out there, and I mean, you love what you're doing, but at the same time, you weren't comfortable. And at 17, 18 years old, we all just for caution of the wind, twist the throttle and hang on. And
yeah, you didn't really know any different. And once you get to the point where you're at and where I was at, you know what's good and you know what's not working. And when you're 17, 18, you don't know, so you just twist the throttle. Well, now you know. Well, if that's not working. And you're saying, well, twist the throttle, but your brain's saying, no, don't twist the throttle because it's not working right. It's there's not a switch you can turn on and off. And unfortunately, you probably have, when your bike's set up right, you have one of the best set up bikes out there on the track when it's good. But when it's a little bit off, it's hard for you to just say, okay, it's a little bit off, but I just still need to pin it. You can't do that. It's hard to do, and that just comes with age.
And I know for me personally, beyond the bike, I mean, I'm really happy with my bike. I think my bike's really good. I definitely don't blame any of my shortcomings on the bike for sure. I mean, I've put a lot of work in with my sponsors and can't thank them enough. But for me personally, sometimes it's just the track, sometimes it's just the day, where I just can't get comfortable. And even if the bike's doing everything right, guys that I know on any given day I should be able to walk right away from or all over me or getting by me. And, this year has been a mental test for me just to keep fighting through that and push it to the end. And, some days it turned around and, we're all, as professional athletes, we're all kind of, finicky people, or we have our quirks and our personality, and I think we all think that once you get that momentum going, that's what it takes. And whether it's true or not, we all believe it. Not to overstate it, but the last 3 laps at St. Clairsville for me were definitely the best I've felt on the bike in years, and it was such a contrast from the first 2 because I just couldn't get out of my own way. So definitely looking to, carry that momentum and, that mindset in right off the start at St. Clairsville or at Ironman. And, it's like I said before, Barry, and you know where I'm coming from. I mean, some days, and Chris, I mean, anybody that races at all, especially at the top level, knows some days you can do no wrong. Everything you do just turns to gold, and then there's days where you do everything right and it just falls out from under you. But for me personally, it's just been early in the races, just can't get the groove, and then something just kind of clicks mentally or physically, whatever it may be. This past race, it was Tracy prodding me on and, basically telling me it was time to put my big girl panties on and go racing because what I was doing wasn't racing. And, I lit it up the last couple laps and proved to myself and everybody else that I have the speed, but, I can't put myself in the hole like that early. So, Barry, Chris, anybody out there listening, I'm open for suggestions. If anybody's got anything that they feel can get me rolling earlier in these races, I'm all ears because, I know if I can be up there at the beginning, as funny as it sounds, at 34 years old and a little bit overweight, I would admit, I'm strong at the end of these races. I'm not tired. I feel good. I'm making passes late in the races on guys that are every bit my equal, both at locals and at nationals. And, it feels good physically, condition-wise. It's just figuring out this early race stuff that's getting me so far behind.
Johnny, I got to figure it out. Here's what you got to do.
All right.
Get the whole shot, and once you get into the woods, then you can slow down where no one can pass you. When you get into the open, go as fast as you can and hold them off. And then when you get back to the woods, just go slow and take your time and settle down. And just do that all day and keep them behind you, and you can get the win. It's that easy.
So all I got to do is just get the whole shot and then keep a pack of rabid dogs, the best ATV riders in the world, behind me for 2 hours. So I play no problem. This is going to work out.
It's that easy.
This is going to be, that yard sale we were talking about with Bach and Loretta's, we're going to get to see a preview of it, and it's going to be the weekend Ironman. Because when I get the whole shot and try and run my pace the first lap, there's going to be tracks all up my backside.
Johnny, you just have to go faster and suck less. And then that's the key to all success, is going faster and sucking less than everybody else.
Hey, do you think you could put that on a pit board for me on Saturday? Go faster, suck less. Like, I feel like that would be what I need to get me rolling.
Yeah. Hey, you know what, Johnny? You're saying that kind of jokingly, but really, in all reality, if you got that on the pit board from Chris, it would fire you up, and it would make you go faster and try harder. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, I'm not making this up. I pulled into the pits, and, I'm normally pretty good at remembering things. I have a really good memory. I don't know what Tracy said to me, but she pissed me off when I came into the pits, and it was basically like, what are you doing out there, sir? Not riding, apparently. And, that was like, when I left out of there, it was like somebody lit the fuse. I mean, I was on fire for the next 2 laps, and then even the last lap, no rear brakes the whole last lap, and was just trucking. And at that point didn't care about anything, just going fast and getting by anybody that was in front of me.
Well, there you go. So, Johnny, you got the best advice in the world, man, from the greatest off-road racer of all time, which we have proof of now, which will come to light later on. But anyway, yeah, and you got some great advice from Chris Bach, and I think
go faster, suck less. Chris, I expect to see that on the pit board. I'm going to be disappointed if I don't see it.
Oh, don't worry, there's plenty more where that came from, and the bill will be in the mail.
I don't know if he's listening, but I do have to give a shout-out to my one-arm buddy, Gabe Phillips. Everybody's got their fan club T-shirts, their Bissell towels. Everybody's got their fan club, and Gabe came down before the race and was standing and talking to me at my trailer, and he's like, hey, man, I want to cheer you on, but I don't really have any, gear. So we took the white towel and wrote with the Sharpie on it, Gallagher 14. And he was standing down at the mud hole, and he was a couple other places on the track every lap, one-armed because he's on a sling, just slinging that towel. And, I got to give him credit, too. I mean, Tracy definitely riled me up, but seeing Gabe and his brother out there, and, all the fans cheering, I mean, everybody thinks, Barry, Chris, all these guys can tell you, you might think you're just a fan out there cheering, but especially in Ironman, you see somebody in the crowd and they look like they really want you to win or to do well. It fires you up, man. You want to lay it on the line and do what you can.
I say we need to get a Johnny G bandwagon going, man, and get that whole place lit up for Johnny G this weekend.
I'll leave that to you. Like I said, I'm not going to turn down any support I can get, but I'm certainly not out.
Chris Bach, I'm leaving that up to you to get all the bike guys together and as many people in support that you can and rally the troops in Indiana and everybody come out and let's get Johnny G to the top of the podium, man.
I can't do that, man. I'm trying to win the championship. I can't be aiding my competitors.
But still, like Johnny said, when you race at Loretta Lynn's, you're a clear-cut winner, man. So you've got this one in the bag.
Yeah, but that's like telling James Stewart, oh, James, you won by a minute, but he's pissed because he wanted to win by 2 minutes. You want to win by as much as possible.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I understand. But Chris, I want to say thanks. I do got to get things wrapped up. As much fun as we're having, we've had some issues with weather here tonight, so I've kind of lost things in and out a couple of times. I will have the complete replay up at least by tomorrow, and you guys will be able to hear this on YouTube and different places like that. But we want to say thanks to Barry Hawk, want to say thanks to Johnny Gallagher, want to say thanks again to you, Chris Bach, and Jen Kenyon for her participation in tonight's show. It's been, and Casey Greek as well, who opened up the show with us. It's been a most excellent time, guys. Again, thanks for everything and making this an exciting quad radio. And Chris Bach, you got to come and crash more often, man.
All right, man, it sounds good, and good luck to everybody that's listening, that's racing this weekend, and we'll see you guys at the track.
All righty, sounds good. Johnny G?
Thanks for having me on, and it was a good time as always, and Chris, Barry, Jen, Casey, everybody, thanks, and looking forward to seeing everybody on Friday.
All righty, and Barry Hawk.
And I'm pre-registered just because I got yelled at. So right now, I'm getting off the phone, going to anybody who's still listening at 4:30 in the morning or whatever time it is right now, I've been on this call forever, go and pre-register if you haven't already, because that's what Jen said to do. So I'm going to pre-register. You got to register for the bike, too?
Yep, it goes for the bike.
Absolutely.
All right. And Barry, any parting shots before you go?
Yeah, man, I had fun. This is probably the third or fourth time I've been on, and it's the most fun I've had. I always have fun, but tonight was the most fun.
It was.
With Chris and Johnny and Jen. So thanks for having me on, Rodney, and hopefully you'll have me back.
Yep, we sure will. We'll have you all back. We'll have a great time. And that'll do it for this edition of Quad Radio Live. Thanks again to everybody for coming on. For Casey Greek, Jen Kenyon, Barry Hawk, Johnny Gallagher, and Chris Bach,